Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of HGI Local Chapter's live stream show. Now, we have a great guest tonight, but before we get to that, let me talk about our show sponsor, Robert Half Talent Solutions. Now, Robert Half is exactly that. They are a talent solution provider, basically providing your company or your organization with highly talented IT professionals, whether it's on a part-time basis, whether it's on a project, or even a full-time permanent basis. They can absolutely help you out. But wait, there's more. If you go to the website above, roberthalf.com/technology, they also have great information out there for if you're a candidate looking for those great jobs. They have resume tips, interviewing tips, and if you're a person looking for talent, they also have things out there for what to expect, how to run an interview, and maybe that if you've watched our show a few weeks ago with Zach on there from Robert Half, how to shorten that process for the whole beginning to hiring somebody so you don't lose those valuable candidates. So check them out, roberthalf.com/technology. All right, so let's get on with the show. So if you were in the pre-show, that we were talking to Matt Beran. Matt has over 20 years of experience in service management and customer service. He has served in various roles in the service desk as a consultant and in experience design. His clients include global corporations and medium enterprises working in many different industries. And Matt, I know you told me to have to read this all, but you have a pretty cool bio, so I want to finish reading this, right? So, and you'll find this out hopefully if you watch our next episode with him on it when we do a Smackdown. He is known for challenging industry norms, practical advice, and unique approaches to service management. And Matt is now serving as an IT Industry Analyst at InvGate, a software company building better IT experiences. Now wait, Matt, I got to say this because we're on a show, right? He is also the host of Ticket Volume. I love that name, right? A weekly podcast about information technology, and is a highly regarded speaker at conferences we just talked about, pre-show, and networking events. And his favorite topics introduce new ways of thinking about service experiences and improving team collaboration. So Matt, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you so much, Tom. What an introduction.
I'm telling you. But it's exciting, and I'm so twitchy to get you on the show again on a Smackdown about your other topic. We'll leave it as a cliffhanger about surveys and things like that. But for today's show, it's even just as equally, if not better topic. You happened to be reading the Wall Street Journal one day and happened to see an article that kind of torqued you off. We'll try to keep it clean here, right? Torqued you off. Tell me about it.
I'm glad you put the keep clean in there quickly, just in case I didn't know. No, it was enough where I actually bought the Wall Street Journal subscription so I could read it. I couldn't tell if it was clickbait or if the guy was serious, but the title of the article was, "It's time to get rid of the IT department." And it agitated me to the point where I was one of those people that grabs the keyboard and instantly wants to comment and has to immediately start responding, because it was so shocking to me, and it was difficult to read for me, because it's really attacking an industry that I know and love dearly.
Yeah, and so tell us a little bit about what the I guess the journalist, we'll call him since it's a paper, because I know there's various it could be taken in like just a joke or advice, but I believe reading that there was a little more to it than that.
Yeah, the dude, his name is Joe Peppard. You can look that up, Mr. Peppard. I happen to know his name very well by this point. But he basically was trying to make the case for distributed IT. And so I don't want to say that he's wrong completely, because he's not totally wrong. I mean, there are aspects where we need to get rid of the IT department. It can be a gatekeeper. The governance can take a long time. There's a lot of reasons to distribute that value into the organization. But that title, "Get rid of the IT department," and a lot of the content in there really got to me, because it was clear that it wasn't grasping or representing the value that a shared service function can provide, right?
Yeah. So it's funny because, when I was reading that, I got that of it, and I was like, I previous to where I'm at now, I worked at a university that has distributive and was trying to get rid of it because I mean, so distributive is almost, I mean, pardon the cliche of of what we deal with in the IT world, but it's like a shadow IT department. And then on top of that, we had shadow IT departments. I was a shadow IT department to the main IT group, and then I had little groups running around because I didn't do everything like that for them, and they wanted their own. So it's like, yeah, I could see, like you said, I could see the point to that in a way. But whew, I don't know.
It's too much. It's going too far, is what it comes down to. And some of the things that he said, IT departments are for a bygone era and ill-suited to the demands of a digital-first world. And that sort of
it's funny I say that about human resources departments too, but they're not going away anytime soon.
Well, you can't. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Right? You can't.
These departments, these shared service functions, are the only way for an organization to go from 500 employees to 2,000 employees to 10,000 employees to 300,000 employees. If you don't have those shared service functions, you can't survive a digital first world. And that's what really got me about it, that the idea that we could be all distributed is a pipe dream. Who is going to manage end user computing? Who is going to take that workstation, reformat it, put it on the domain, hand it back to the user? The transactional elements, the parts of IT that we need to scale are completely lost in that equation. And you end up, imagine that. Imagine you literally don't have an IT department and you've got little pockets here and there. Those pockets are going to get inundated with those workstation requests and how do I do this in Outlook and how do I do this in Google Drive?
Right.
It's just not possible.
Right. And on some of the other things I was thinking is, we talk a lot in our industry about knowledge, KCS and knowledge bases. Like, so each department's going to be fighting the same battle, like over, it creates inefficiencies. And here's the other thing. The reason the university I worked for was going away, by the way, it was siloed, right? Because you're also siloed. Yeah. And so therefore a right hand, left hand thing, right? But, one of the things that we found out was it's also more expensive. You can't get group licensing as if like your department has it, my department has it. I don't know about if your experience, but when I worked at the same university and I remember my class today, Randy was saying about underpinning contracts. He said, if you're not managing your vendor, you better believe they're managing you. And let me tell you what happened at the university I was at. Like, I knew we had 7 colleges within the university and the main IT group. When I first started there, just the central IT group had 5 different ticketing systems and each college had their own. But even more funny was we had our backup solution, right? Our desktop backup solution. We had 3 different ones. And in one case, most of the university had one particular one, and we had 3 sales reps. And they knew it. They darn well knew it. But we were paying separately. They weren't telling each of us that we, well, if you're not smart enough to figure out you all are using the same thing, why should we tell you? So you got the inefficiencies there, right?
And that's a perfect example. And you see it. I mean, we see it all the time in service management. There are clear benefits in some of the processes. Asset management is a perfect example. That financial aspect that you just brought up, you're going to get more power to negotiate if you've got more users underneath you. Just having a central way to purchase software and hardware does a massive service to your company in cost savings. And then you think about things like CMDB. Do you want that many different views of your services? You can imagine
so what other kind of thing would it create? Like, well, Matt, he offers us this service. Why don't you do it over there in accounting?
Exactly.
I didn't know he was doing that.
You would have mismatched skills and mismatched your SLAs would be different. You would have professors going from one college to another college, or whatever, lawyers going from one business unit to another business unit, and they would get completely different experiences. And in the time where employee experience keeps our staff happy and keeps them on board, you don't want to do that stuff.
Yeah. So maybe one thought. Now I know I did this at that university. I started out in the central IT group, and what we did, because we knew that there were business units of the university that did things differently or they needed a lot of help. So I would assign a couple of techs to that area of, like, I would have at least two people. So like Matt, if you're off this week, they're hosed, right? So what happens if you get rid of the IT department and your IT guy that's like also your, I don't know, your accountant and HR person goes on vacation and your system goes down, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's a huge
You can't afford to
consideration.
have redundancy when you have one person or whatever for each group, right? It's really expensive. And let
Same.
me tell you, one of the other things I was going to tell you, because I know I was telling you pre-show about a question that we're asked, because I'm a support world writer for HDI, and one of the questions that Craig posed to us was like, do you think AI is going to create more jobs, eliminate jobs, or the same? And I said, and it's funny. Now wait, because you're good now. Being that you didn't like that guy's answer in the Wall Street Journal, here was my answer. It is going to maybe eliminate positions, but not jobs. And the reason I said that was, I personally right now am having a very hard time hiring people. There's not enough talent out there. So I'm looking to automate those L1, the entry level things, so that I can bring those service desk folks, those entry level folks, up to a higher level to really work on things that we need people for that AI can't do, right? So it's interesting, there's a lot of different ways to talk about this whole thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. That AI stuff. I don't know if that's the right term,
Yeah,
artificial
exactly.
intelligence.
Yeah, I know, right? Artificial. Yeah. It's like, but because it comes down to like the knowledge stuff,
Yeah,
the knowledge base, and the CMDB, and all your different things, right? But whatever you want to call it, like the chat bot that can automatically help you reset your password, so I don't need Matt to do it. Because right now I've got Matt, like you said, I got a hardware problem. Tell me what AI or chatbot's going to fix your machine,
yeah,
right?
yep, yep. And in a lot of cases, we're just talking about automation. I find that automation and AI, as we call it, and chatbots, they do best when they're paired with a human. You can
Right.
provide a great experience at a high velocity, with good communication. Whereas if it's a completely in the dark bot just running on its own, you're not, you don't get that live feeling. You don't get that live understanding. That's just my 2 cents on that. I don't
Oh yeah,
know what vendors doing
I have
that, but
mixed opinions on that too. I'm just telling you what my answer was to him about, like, it would be nice because you do need the human behind the scene
totally.
training the artificial intelligence. Like, it's artificial for a reason. It just doesn't think like a human, right? But we have to feed it the content. We have to feed it the rules and things like that. And you're always going to get. I know, some people in the chat are talking about, executives and stuff. You're going to get the executives or the high level people to go, I don't want to talk to this chatbot. I know that's what it is. I want to talk to Matt. Get him on the darn phone, right? So,
Yeah.
you always will have that. But there are things that we would need to do, because I would challenge that same guy. I get it. He's a journalist. I'd like to find out from his editor or his publishers or whoever. Like, so if I had 5 different servers running, one in each department, and you had to actually like email me your big article with all your pictures because you can't put it up on the server. Okay. Yeah. So you're going to go to Dropbox or Box or Google Drive or whatever. I get that. But that's just a lot of up and down instead of me being able to go grab it. And I mean, there are some things. I'm sure he had a lot of ammo.
It's terribly inefficient. His real point is, and this is really where we're headed. I mean, he's not wrong, right? We Service management is changing to the point where, a lot of companies, even small companies, are able to skip a lot of levels of maturity,
Yeah.
provide stellar service, at a low cost. And, you see above that, or below that, however you want to structure your hierarchy,
Yep.
the infrastructure and engineering groups, they're embracing DevOps, they're getting higher velocity, they're using CI/CD to actually, and faultless architecture so that they can create changes really quickly. So that's like a paradigm that's happening at the same time that IT support is starting to reach this paradigm. And then above that, we start to see experience management making its way into those applications and services as we experience them. And it totally makes sense that in agile organizations, we create these pods, we create these smaller groups that are working on projects or working on initiatives or focused on a core revenue generating service, so that you can have that cross-functional collaboration and cross-functional ideation, project involvement, everything from user research to the time you go live and iterate a few times. You want to have that cross contamination, cross collaboration.
Same thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And if you beyond that though, those people still need to be connected. Yeah. Because if they don't have awareness, and we talk about this in ITIL service transition all the time. That's how you get the ops part of DevOps, is by having people dial back home to their home team, provide the documentation back. Hey, this is what this project is working on. They can actually do a stand up with their team so that they all understand what each other is working on, and the governance can follow suit, the collaboration can follow suit, and you just end up having a more connected organization. So he's not wrong,
right? Well,
but he went too far.
so let me say this, because we're down to only a minute to go, even though we're a little over, but because I said I started the clock late, that's okay. Terry brings up a good point, and I want to ask you this question. So all those C-suite level positions out there that read that article, what advice do you give them, in support of not getting rid of the IT group, right?
What's great is the C-suite knows better than to take advice from an article, right?
No They're one usually is a victim of it to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. You don't ever want to take that sort of advice as blanket wisdom. I need to apply it. And no executive would be crazy enough to just do this. It's all about testing. Where does it work? Where does it not work? Why does it work? And understanding that is part of not only being more effective as an organization, but also making it good for your employees to do it that way.
So true. All right, so we're at the end of this. I told you, Matt, it goes fast. And as a fellow podcaster, you kind of know how that goes. We try to keep it snackable. But before we go, I want to, say thank you for being a guest on our show. And for everybody out there watching, for our thousands and thousands and thousands of listeners and viewers, right? If you're new to the show or you haven't subscribed to our channel, what the heck are you waiting for, man? We don't want to distribute our show out to like 100 little guys, right? No, seriously, we got at the bottom here, you can check us out on Twitch. We also put this up on YouTube, so check us out. We really appreciate it. Also on the screen here, we have the Support World Live conference that Matt and I were talking about pre-show, where, May 15th through the 20th, and look, it's in Las Vegas, baby. Come on, right? Matt's going to be presenting. I got the shift before you. I'm like Thursday night. So, hey, whatever, right? I'm right before the party. So I don't know, maybe that's good. If it doesn't go good, I'll be at Hakkasan, partying. But anyway, also, by the way, Matt, we are going to be broadcasting live from the expo hall throughout the different days of the week there. So, stop in at the HDI local chapters booth, which will be right across from the HDI booth. And I haven't talked to the HDI folks about this yet, although I've talked to Tara. If they do what they traditionally do and they have their little passport thing, when you fill out your passport from visiting all the vendors, so you can win all these cool prizes, and I've won a few in the past, they're really cool prizes. We're right across from them. So come over, say hi, maybe do a quick show, be on the show a little bit, and say hi. Matt, you're more than welcome to drop in. Love to hear from local chapter officers. As Terry, our marketing producer, told me, we forgot to mention, I said in pre-show, but Matt's on the HDI board in Minnesota, so he's a board member, true HDI local chapter guy. So again, thank you so much, and we'll see you all next week. And Matt, I will see you in a few weeks in Vegas, baby.
We'll see you there, Tom.
All righty, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.